We're back at the MobilityWOD. We did the light on. We'll introduce a concept today called no day off. There's literally no day off in your training. If you are training hard, then the day where you're resting, not exercising, the day about getting the ship turned around, ready to go tomorrow. It's a day to work on weaknesses. It's a day to do some non-exercise activity. This NEA concept is go skiing, go biking, go riding. We went for a hike with our daughter today. You just, even on a rest day, there's no such thing as a day off. So concept one, no day off. I want to show you guys one of my favorite ways to ice. This is a bag of meat. This thing was $4.64. Bags of meat are very, very cheap. This isn't even very good. It's from Trader Joe's, although it is, I think, hormone-free. You are a piece of meat. If I froze you, you would stay frozen for hours and hours and hours. I'd have to leave you thawing on the freezer. This was Ethan Hawke's problem in that movie Alive, where they had to eat all the rugby players. Those guys were frozen. And I don't mean to make light of cannibalism, but it's difficult. And if you want to ice someone down effectively, this is a really great way to do it. It will stay frozen for bloody ever. It will actually freeze to your skin. But this is the best ice bag I know in the world. It doesn't conform very well, but it's meat. And it will conform to your body eventually, and you guys will fuse as one, so make sure you cover it with a shirt. This is the only time I'm going to seriously say, do not get a freezer burn. A freezer burn is an immediate MobilityWOD foul. No day off. If you need to ice something, get on a bag of meat. Just don't ever eat this again because you'll die of botulinum toxin. Okay, on the main WOD today is the CrossFit Total. I want to get ready for that. I'm going to show you a new mobility piece for the shoulder. One of the things that we've got to do is bias and prioritize this external rotation, being able to get my shoulders back, pressing, bench pressing, pulling. You know, I need to be able to hold that shoulder into a good wound up position so that I can transmit a lot of energy quickly. The softer the shoulder is, the more forward the shoulder is, the less energy I get, especially in having to press. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to take the lacrosse balls that we've been using kind of perpendicular to the spine, and we're going to put it between the spine, I want to brain myself, between the scapula and the spine. And I'm going to lay that thing down, just kind of starting somewhere in between there, and I'm going to put my arm straight up. And I'm just going to hang out here for a second. And what I'm going to do is just see if I can let the weight of my arm drive around the two balls. So take some big breaths, hang out. What's different than the single ball, because it's a little bit kind of bigger motion segment, but then I'm going to bring my arm down to the side and start to feel like that press. There's the external rotation bias. I'm just going to toy here, and I'm just going to hang out for a second, and then I'm going to move down one notch, moving lower. A lot of that lower trap is responsible for stabilizing and squeezing the shoulder blade down and controlling it. If you can get that shoulder blade down and get some of those the segments moving, you do a little bit better job of kind of getting your shoulder in a better position. So take a look at this. I'm just going to hang out here. It's pretty gnarly for me. I'm rolling back and forth. If I don't find a gnarly spot, I can lift my butt up a little bit and drive the balls into the back a little bit more. And then again, just move that arm into that kind of bench press, pressing position by the side. And look, I just did this for a minute. And literally, I don't know if you can see the difference in terms of how tight I can pull this shoulder back. Right shoulder is back as far as it can go. Left shoulder is literally about 3 inches further, which gives me a very different setup option. Can you tell which arm I did? Absolutely. And that's just because I got these ribs to flex out of the way. That's arm number one. Number two, let's go ahead and get ourselves into a little bit different overhead position. If you want to bias external rotation, you can, but I just want to hang out with arm bent, work on the triceps, since I'm not really going to be limited by my overhead, but my pressing at full compression. So I'm going to go ahead and open that, hit this corner. Let's go ahead and turn that wrist up and then hang in there. Let's get into those corners for a couple minutes. And we've got to talk to the hip. So we're going to do 2 hips. The further I get that hip located in the back of the socket, the more leverage I'm going to get, the better mechanical advantage. You'll notice that if I just bring my knee to my chest, I'm going to impinge right about here, which means that closes my hip off in that deadlift position, etc., etc. So the test is going to be this kind of high kneel or marching position. Feel, don't cheat, don't lean back. Feel what that looks like. By getting that weight going through the femur, driving to the back of the hip, externally rotate, and then just hang out. It's the same thing we're doing, trying to imagine shoving the hip to the back, And I'm just going to oscillate in here, and I'm really going to spend a lot of time kind of cleaning out the corners. So hit this spot, push back, hit this spot, really into deep flexion, always thinking about driving line of force down. And I think between just doing this before you squat and deadlift, you'll notice that if I just get this thing located in the back of the socket, that was 20 seconds. Look at the difference in the range. I've just improved my impingement by getting the shoulder or the hip joint further to the back of the socket. I improve roll, slide, and glide. I decrease hip impingement. That's acetabular impingement syndrome. That's a big fix. And I change my movement options. This hip is further back in the socket. I have better mechanical advantage on this side. I don't have to imagine leaning as far back to generate the force. All right? 3 pieces today, not 4. Hit the balls, get up overhead, go on the hip, go set a PR on your CrossFit total. See you tomorrow.